Hey guys, so I just wanted to talk about an article today from The Verge called Logitech CEO Hanneke Faber wants your next mouse to last forever. And this is a really interesting article, at least in my opinion, because she talks a lot about what kind of stuff she plans on doing with Logitech. For those who don't know, Logitech got a new CEO right around, I think, September last year, October last year, something like that. And ever since, she's been doing a lot of changes. There's been a lot of things, and this article covers a lot of that. I'm not gonna, touch on everything that the article talks about in this video. It's a long article. I frankly don't want to read all of this on camera. It'd take like an hour. So what I do want to talk about though is how they talk about how, the mouse built this house. It's something they repeat a lot in the article, and they're essentially just talking about how Logitech is known for their mice, their PC peripherals and stuff, but they do a lot of contradictions to that in the article. Again, I'm not going to talk about that because too long of an article. However, what I do want to specifically hone in on is the idea of the forever mouse, and this is something that they bring up several times in this article. Now, obviously, face value, the forever mouse is just a mouse that you buy and it lasts forever. Now, I like the idea of that. Definitely like that kind of design language. It's definitely cool to hear Logitech talking about something like that. However, it comes in a way that I don't believe you'd be interested. I personally am not interested. So let's talk about that. So the forever mouse. Now, we know that mice these days aren't forever. My original G Pro Superlight here has just been replaced by the G Pro X2. So, I didn't think that when I bought this mouse, it was going to last forever. I don't think anyone who buys a new mouse thinks it's going to last forever. It might last you 5 years, 10 years, whatever the case may be. Some people even have mice from 15 years ago. So it might last you several years, but forever, not really a concept you think of when you think of a computer gaming mouse or any kind of computer mouse in general. Now, with that being said, that is their goal here, is to implement the forever mouse, and that is really difficult. Now, I will admit that I think mouse hardware has ultimately peaked. I don't want to say that it's never going to progress, because maybe there's going to be some sort of breakthrough that we find within the next 10, 20 years that allows us to continue to build better gaming mice, or better mice in general. However, the fact of the matter is that a 3395 sensor is the top dog. It's not the most recent sensor on the market, but it is the most prevalent one these days, and it is the best performing. But that's also been the case of a lot of other sensors. So, for example, the G Pro X Superlight I have here is the using the Hero sensor. And I would argue that the Hero sensor is just as valid as an option today as it was way back when it was made in 2017, 2018. Yeah, it really hasn't shown its age as much. Same thing with the 3360 and all those older sensors that we were buying in 2019, 2020. I would still say that those sensors are really good. So from my perspective, having a mouse that has technology that can keep up with whatever we produce in the future is key, but I think it's possible, right? I don't think in 5-10 years time a 3395 is going to be obsolete or anything wild like that, or 5-10 years time the Hero 2 sensor is going to be obsolete. I don't think that's the case. So I think technologically speaking, it's possible. Now, if we're talking a forever mouse, it wouldn't be wireless, because mice, like wireless batteries, don't last forever. That's kind of like the thing. Every now and again, the battery's going to wear out. My mom had an old laptop, and it lasted 10, 15 years. So really long lifetime at a laptop. However, the battery is going to die. So at the very least, if you do make it wireless, you're going to want to make it an option for it to be wired. However, they don't talk about any of this. What they talk about is AI in software. Those are the two big things that they talk about. They don't talk about the internal specs, what it would look like, and how much it would cost. Well, they do talk about that a little bit. and I will touch on that. However, they talk mainly about how this would look with AI, how much it would cost, and mostly about the software. So let's talk about that. So firstly, let's talk about what it would look like with AI. Now, Logitech in this article talks a lot about how they want this mouse to have AI, like an AI button. And, you know, I think that's cool. So I imagine this is going to be like an MX Master kind of thing where it's meant to be more helpful in your day-to-day life for productivity and stuff like that rather than a gaming mouse. However, I personally don't use AI enough for that to be useful. I do coding, I do programming, so I do use like, you know, Copilot, ChatGPT every now and again if I'm really stuck. However, for me personally, I don't think that an AI button, like an AI assist button, would be very useful. You know, I do use Siri on my phone and stuff like that, but that's mostly like if I'm in a car or if I don't have access to, you know, my screen right now, I'll go, hey Siri, usually when I have my AirPods in, and then I'll say whatever I need to say, usually like, hey Siri, skip this song, hey Siri, call so-and-so. So, you know, I don't typically use the Copilot feature as much as I would Siri. So I don't know how an AI button would be useful. I know that's something that they're starting to implement on laptops, like a dedicated Copilot button. Would love to hear if anyone uses that in the comments. Would love to hear how much you use that, because that is something that I think is very interesting. Because yeah, I don't think, at least for me personally, yeah, I'll move on because I think I've made my point enough that I don't think for me personally it would be useful. And I can tell they're kind of planning for the future here. So I think the meat and potatoes of my argument here is that I think they need to incorporate some more features than just the AI button, specifically something that you can use the AI with. It'd be super cool if you could like have the AI button like skip a song or something, or like yeah, I don't know, like maybe you could have the program like press the AI button and then you could press it multiple times and you can set that to different functions. So like if you have some sort of line of code that you write a lot, then you can press the AI button, it keys up, and then you press however many times to your macro, and then boom, you just use that. So that'd be really cool. And they do talk a lot about macros in the article, how she has known somebody, the CEO of Logitech knows somebody who has 120 macros on their MX Master 3. So maybe some macro support. But yeah, I don't really know what their future plan is for AI and how that incorporates into the mouse and peripheral game. Yeah. So they have a key focus on AI. I think it's ill-founded. Can't see many purposes for that, especially if you are somebody who, so if you use your computer casually, you're not really going to care. If you're on some sort of like, you know, I don't want to say entry level, beginner level, like work from home job or whatever, then yeah, I don't know what you'd use it for. But if you're like deep into programming or whatever it is, then still, I don't know how useful it is because you've probably already got Copilot in the bottom right of your screen anyway. So maybe there's going to be some integration with, you know, Google, Windows features, maybe. They did talk a little bit about Google and Apple. Mostly to complain about how much of a market share they have in comparison to Logitech. However, yeah, I'm not really sure how this is going to look, but it's just interesting to see where they're putting their focus on. Because then they talk about the price, and they talk about custom mechanical keyboards a lot here and how they're a lifestyle purchase, which I understand. Yeah, they are a lifestyle purchase. A lot of the people building custom keyboards and stuff like that, they are extremely stylized, I guess, luxury purchases. So, you know, you can look at it the same way, but they are talking about making a stylized, custom, lifestyle luxury mouse. Do I think that's possible? Not really. A mouse is so simple. You know, you just fucking move the cursor and you click on what you need to click on. It's not that serious. Maybe it's my ape brain not thinking outside the box, but yeah, I just don't think that. I don't know what you could do with a mouse to make it like to the same degree of custom keyboards, because custom keyboards, there's tons of different switches, there's tons of different keycap types, all cases are, constructed differently to sound different, feel different. You have different plates, you have different, PCBs and stuff, and you have different mods that you can do in order to help your experience. And with a mouse, it is just not that similar. And I know Logitech, they're not going to make this customizable. It's definitely going to be, oh, this is our bougie, super lifestyle luxury mouse. You either like it or you don't, and you can't go in and mod it like you could a custom keyboard, which is the whole point of the custom keyboard community, is the idea that you can mod your own keyboard and make it fit your lifestyle rather than you just buy the lifestyle purchase. So I don't think Logitech is thinking about that. I am just struggling to think about what you could even do with a mouse. Change the switches, maybe give it like a strange exotic material. I know carbon fiber and magnesium mice are starting to take off pretty heavily these days. However, not everyone's going to love that sort of thing. Not everyone's going to be willing to pay the $200 minimum price tag that they talked about in the article. I don't think, me personally, I'm never going to buy a mouse that is $200 ever again. I bought the ULX and that was it. So for me, $200 is off the table. I already don't really have much use for a work mouse, and it's really interesting because they talked about how gaming mice and work mice, gaming and work peripherals are starting to blend together. If you look at something like the Black Widow V4, the 75% version, that one is very much a custom keyboard and a gaming keyboard. So it's kind of blending all the different kinds of keyboards into one, so that, if you work during the day, you have your really nice typing experience, but then if you game, you also have really high polling rate, et cetera, et cetera. So, you get a lot of options with something like that. And I think that is what Logitech should be striving to do, is to combine a work and gaming mouse. However, they seem dedicated on making those two things separate. So for me, I use my G Pro X for everything. So, I use it for programming, I use it for browsing the web, I use it for gaming, and, I don't really have any interest in having macros on my mouse. I have a Stream Deck, I have a keyboard, I can make macros on the keyboard and on the Stream Deck. So my mouse choice really does not matter to me at all. And I don't know if I'm alone. I'm just going to go ahead and assume that, I'm totally alone in that. But if that is the case, then, I don't know if it is the case that there are thousands of millions of people out there buying mice for the sole purpose of making as many macros on it as possible. I know of ways to do that for much less than $200, and $200 is not all that this mouse is going to cost. I'm struggling to process this because I just read this article yesterday. I was going to do a video on it, and I literally had to stop the video, stop the whole everything, and just comprehend what was written, and just to make sure that I understood it properly. So I'm going to put in a disclaimer before I mention this last and final feature about this Forever mouse. I might be interpreting this wrong. This is just how I'm reading the article here, but I will scroll down and show you the part of the article that I'm talking about. Now, allow me to scroll. Okay, so here we are. We're about towards the end of the article here. The interviewer asks, I'm going to ask this very directly. Can you envision a subscription mouse? And the CEO of Logitech answers, possibly. And that would be the Forever mouse? Yeah. So you pay a subscription for software updates to your mouse. Yeah, and you never have to worry about it again, which is not unlike our video conferencing services today. But it's a mouse. But it's a mouse, yeah. I think customers might perceive those to be very different. Yeah, but it's gorgeous. Think about it like a diamond-encrusted mouse. So a subscription service for your mouse updates. I just want to be silent for a second and think about that, because I can't imagine a single person. Now, I've been saying several times, I can't imagine anyone who uses AI that effectively. I can't imagine anyone who has that many macros. I literally cannot think of a single person who would say, a subscription service for my computer mouse? Sign me the fuck up. I can't imagine anyone who would be okay with that. And it's kind of disgusting. I'm not going to lie. This is pretty egregious. Now, to my knowledge, at least interpreting the article here, doesn't seem like they have any concrete idea. But the fact that they're willing to entertain that, and they think it'll be a great idea, and that we customers just don't know, it's going to be so gorgeous, diamond encrusted, it's a great idea. Really don't like that attitude. Logitech has been taking so many L's with the Logitech G space, and they talk about here how they cannot compete with Apple and Google in the consumer business, with the consumer business side of things. So it's just strange to me that they go so far left and go, yeah, subscription service for our forever mouse. What a shit show. Honestly, like I read the article, I got to that part, I was like, there's no way you think this is a great idea. So essentially, and again, I might be wrong, but how I'm interpreting this is that there's a subscription service for your mouse. So let's say this is the diamond encrusted forever mouse. Well, you need a lot of software updates to keep something relevant forever, right? And I can understand that. Like I said, I mentioned that on the hardware side, I think it would already be possible. I don't think there's any way that a 3395 would age to the point of obsolescence. There might be things better than it later on, but I don't think you're ever going to sit here and go, wow, my 3395 is just a piece of shit. So I think hardware-wise, a forever mouse could be possible. But software-wise, things develop, things change. So I think that software-wise, you would have to focus on the software for this forever mouse, and to lock those updates, people who paid possibly $200, like they mentioned in the article, for the mouse, and then have to pay. I would love to know how much they envision these updates costing, because if it's anything more than like $3, you're out of your mind. I mean, you're out of your mind for charging at all. But again, the point remains that you're charging $200 for a mouse, and then that forever mouse that's supposed to last you forever, you cannot update it. You cannot keep it updated unless you pay for the subscription service. That is what I'm imagining. Again, they didn't really fledge out this idea at all, so I can't say for certain. However, that's what it seems like. That is what it sounds like to me. Leave it down in the comments whether you think that's a great idea or not. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say, because I, for one, cannot fathom a world where I would be okay with that. I something as simple as like a firmware, not even a firmware update, a software update being locked behind. I mean, I paid $4,000 for this camera, right? This is a Sony FX3. And I paid $2,600 for this lens. This is the Sony 24-70 GM2 lens, okay? So this camera setup right here cost me roughly something like $6,000 whatever, right? Could you imagine if Sony started making it where you need to pay for the firmware updates on this thing? I'd freak the fuck out. I feel the same way about the forever mouse as I do about this, because this is a luxury camera purchase. You do not need this. This is balls to the wall, the best that you could possibly get. Well, not the best you could possibly get, but you understand. Very luxury purpose. This is a very lifestyle purchase. And imagine already like going, yeah, this is going to be, you know, for the big dogs. And then it's just so obvious that you're just trying to milk them dry. And I know how this is going to go. I know it's going to go from, you know, we have the Forever Mouse. Don't worry, it's cheap. Don't worry, it's expensive. We know that not everyone's going to get it. So this is really for the 1%. And then they're going to make all their other mice decay quicker. So it's like, hey, you know, if you want your mouse to last longer, here's the Forever Mouse. You know, you can get it. It'll last you forever. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So I don't know what to say about that, other than fuck no. Logitech, we don't want the Forever Mouse. You know, I hope we hear a little bit more about this, more thoughts on this. But if it is true and they're doing, you know, AI and software update purchases and the Forever Mouse, and like they think it's a luxury, like, oh, you'll never have to worry about it again. Well, yeah, I'm paying for that. I paid to get the mouse, and now I'm paying for you to keep it updated. And another thing I just thought about is like, would that be a subscription, like monthly subscription? What about the months that there aren't updates? Do we have to pay for those? So yeah, I'm going to wrap this video up because it's already almost 25 minutes long. So quarter of an hour long. I hope this does not happen. First of all, I hope that Logitech wisens the fuck up at the last minute and realizes that this is a horrible idea. Number one. Number two, Logitech did say in the end of this article, the CEO of Logitech said that there will be some releases coming out at the end of this year and the beginning of next year. So maybe we'll see the Forever Mouse in 2025. However, I'm not looking forward to it. I don't think anyone else would either. So, yeah.